There it is.
That's
Hello.
live.
Yay. Hello, everybody.
Yay.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to the first ever PunchBoard Media Social. My name is Bill Corey. I am the host of the Cubist podcast, and we have all kinds of other folks. Let's just go from left to right and introduce ourselves. And as people jump in, we can go from there. Brian, you go first.
Sure. I am Brian, and I run the Cloak and Meeple YouTube channel, where I preview and review games. That's about all I got.
Awesome. And Jake?
Hi, everybody. I am Jake. I am one half of Draft Mechanic, the board games and craft beer podcast, where we talk about, you guessed it, board games and craft beer.
Yay for craft beer. There you go. So we are proud members of PunchBoard Media, where we all bring something to the table. See, I'm getting the tagline in early because I always forget on the Cubist to sneak it until the very end. And I went like 6 weeks without remembering to say it at all and got passively aggressively yelled at a couple of times. So now I'm going to make sure I get it in now and then midway through. And then at the end, we'll say it over and over. But so this is our first ever PunchBoard Media Social. The idea is just all of us creator folks kind of hanging out and just chit-chatting about stuff. So there's going to be people rolling in and out all night. So if you are interested, if you happen to be watching live, if you catch up on this, you can watch live right now. Mm-hmm. So, and we'll I think maybe we tweeted something out about this, or I'll take care of it now. So the topic that we're scheduled to talk about, I guess, is the why we game. What? Which I don't know. I didn't arrange this part. So why we game, right? So why do we do this, Brian?
Why in the world?
Yeah, Brian. Why do you game?
I game as well, for fun, because who doesn't do that, obviously, but as an escape from reality, because especially right now in this day and age, sometimes reality is not a fun place. So it's kind of the break away from the norm, from everything, so you can become mice going on an adventure, or samurai, or whatever, and just something like that. And also a way to bring people together, to sit down with your friends and have a meal and have a game and just have some cool discussion without tech everywhere.
No, I it's funny. Tom Bassel got there first, obviously, but he's talked about, the games and the people that play them. And that tagline is very, very true. And it's at least for me anyway, it's definitely just as much about the people sitting around the table, right?
Yeah,
definitely.
It's an excuse to get together with friends.
I mean, that's one of the reasons that I got into gaming, at least in this particular level. Danielle and I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and we didn't have a whole lot of knowledge of what was going on. And gaming was a really great way to meet a whole bunch of people. And like our entire friends group right now is people we met through gaming, through the weekly game nights. And as we've started to form our own gaming nights in the area as well, we're just finding more and more people. And I love it because you get to meet so many people from so many walks of life. And it is a great equalizer. It's a good opportunity to get everybody around the table and have some fun together and do something together that's not yell about, everything.
For sure. Yeah. Out of curiosity, where are you originally from, Jake?
I'm from Northern Virginia, DC metro area.
Okay.
As well as the half of the podcast that is very obviously from Northern New Jersey. Very
obviously?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're talking Jersey Shore. Ooh.
No. The worthwhile good part of New Jersey, up by the city.
Oh, gotcha. I have zero. So I'm from Wisconsin, for those of you that don't know, and I'm sure you can probably. Apparently, I have an accent. Who knew? I didn't. But
if something is concerning a thing, you might say that thing is blank something. About. Give me an about.
It's about. It's about.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. It's.
No. I'm not Canadian.
No, but you've got that.
That's Wisconsin is still not part of Canada. I know that everybody thinks that we're some weird like frozen tundra thing.
Can you name 5 cheeses?
Yes, probably more like 20. Shut up.
See, there you go. Now we know.
All right, why I play games is so that way I don't have to answer dumb questions like that and hear about how much of a cheesehead I am.
It's a legitimate question. Thank you.
Yes, I know. It's fine. So for me, this is going to sound name droppy, and I don't mean it that way. I was raised in a gamer household. My dad was one of the playtesters of Dungeons and Dragons before I was born, and my mom did some of the art in the original books. So I've never not been a gamer, right? Like I literally grew up with it. So I don't have any idea why I game, because this is just how life has always been for me. Like I remember I DM'd my first ever D&D game when I was 6, right? So like I literally don't have memories of not being a gamer. So
which is crazy.
Yeah, I know, right? So I guess but why I still do it is, I don't know, because it's fun and it lets me, it gives me an excuse to hang out with friends and also to engage my brain, right? Because like I just don't care about, I don't want to sit and watch movies. I don't want to, like, I mean, sometimes I do, but I mean, that's not, I don't have that passion in the same way. This is a thing that I can do, and I'm doing something that keeps my brain moving. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny to tie on to that. We were just talking about before we got live here, your terraforming Mars, every corporation, every map thing. That is something that you're doing because you love to play the game. You love the way it challenges you and the way that it enriches you. And that's kind of why, I think a lot of people who get deep into gaming continue to move that far, because they're just like, ooh, that game gave me a really good feeling. And I thought like, oh, wow, my brain did a new thing today, and I want to explore that. And that's a really, really good side effect of gaming that you don't get with a lot of passive hobbies, unless you get super deep into film and become a film buff and take classes on Kurosawa.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, okay. So wait, what? Oh, there it is. Okay. Sorry. I'm going to be a little bit distracted because I'm running this through the PunchBoard Media account, which is not the account I normally run things through. So like I'm getting notifications from different spots that's freaking me out. Sorry, live viewers. I promise I'm normally, well, if you've ever watched Secubus, I'm exactly this distracted all the time. This is 100% normal. Okay. So let's expand on this. Why do we make media though? Like, okay, so we know why we're gamers. That's fine, because it's a fun thing to do. So what pushed us to go from we play games to we're sitting around with headphones and microphones in our faces at 8:30 on a Wednesday, chatting about it? Like, how did we get here? How did you get here, Jake? How did you get here?
Well, first I came up the stairs, and I've been in media for a while. I did a lot of media in college. I did radio. I realized that you can't get a job in radio without eating ramen for a decade. And I think like really what I ended up podcasting and getting into all this media stuff was just I had to create something, and board gaming was such a thing that my brain was just so excited by. I was like, I need to talk about this. I need to talk about this experience I had. I just played blank game for the last 3 hours, and I completely I saw the magic pieces tying it together. And just after a while of doing that for so long, you meet other people online, like obviously yourself and the rest of everybody in PunchBoard Media. Very good, Brian. I saw that.
We're gonna try really hard to summon Patrick Hillier, just for the people that are watching live. He's
one more pun and you summon Patrick Hillier.
One more pun and we summon Patrick Hillier.
It's like Beetlejuice three times.
Oh God.
But to conclude, you eventually get so excited about this thing that you just have to talk about it with somebody. It's kind of like a little virus that gets in your brain. You need to start creating that conversation and talk about those crazy experiences we had. I mean, it's kind of, again, why we got into gaming in the first place, or one of the reasons. We want to make connections with other people. And what better way than, sitting on a YouTube channel at, 9:40 p.m. Thank you very much. Eastern Standard Time, talking about board games.
Eastern times for suckers. Yeah, no, but
we don't know for you.
I know, whatever. No, I totally agree, right? Like it's partially it's an outlet for enthusiasm that you don't have to it's easy. This is all us scheduling, right? Like we are the ones that say, okay, we're going to do this right now, and this is amazing. Yeah. It isn't like we don't have to wait for 3 of our buddies to make sure that they don't have commitments at home or work or whatever, and then suddenly it's so hard to get around the table, right? Like it's so much easier. Well, no, really, Yeah, I mean, I know live stuff like this is a little different, but like if you're just if you're recording content, you can record it when you want to, and you know what I mean. And it's easier to do this sometimes in 2017, at least it feels like it for me, than it is to schedule a game night, right? Like this is as sad as that is. This is
you are not wrong.
And I mean, and then there comes the point where you start making more content than you're actually playing games. Have either of you hit that point? Ever?
Yeah, it's called the last week or so.
Yeah, for sure. Brian, how about you? Do you ever end up finding that you're making more content than you are actually consuming games?
Well, see, I do a lot of previews on my YouTube channel. So a lot of the times it's like, oh yeah, I just bought this really cool game, but I'm going to actually have to play this other game instead that I just got in the mail because I need to do a preview for it.
Yeah.
So it's not always playing the games that you really, really want to. It's just playing the games that, you know, I am trying to be obligated to put out stuff for. But then I find out, I was like, oh, you know what? This was really good. I've had it for like 2 weeks, and I should have actually made a video for that sooner. But
yeah, right on. I mean, if that's and that's definitely part of it too. Is you feel compelled. I mean, well, and in your case, like your part of your job is to make content about stuff that, like, I mean, that's physically what you're supposed to be doing, right?
Right.
Right. And so, like, for the Cubist as an example, we do our show exactly like this. It's all a live stream every week on YouTube. So for me, my show is specifically like a conversation with friends as much as it is a show, right? Like it's an excuse that once a week I get together for an hour with some of my friends from the gaming world, and we sit and talk about whatever we decided we were going to talk about already. But for me, it's just an excuse to talk with my buddies that I don't get to see any other ways. Cause you know, we're all over the country, right? I'm in Wisconsin. My co-host Kimberly is in New Hampshire. Brandon is in, Missouri. Patrick is in Indiana. Eric is in New York, you know, people from all over the place. We've had, you know, and folks from over the pond, like, you know, Paul Grogan's been on the show before and never get to talk to him. So yeah, it's definitely a way for me, it's easier to do this than it is to try and like actually get together with friends. So that's another thing. Lord knows. And let's be clear. And I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's fairly safe to say that no one, and I mean no one, is getting rich doing this, right? Like even the people that run successful Kickstarters and have managed to do this as a full-time job are still not rolling around Scrooge McDucking in piles of money, right? Like if you don't like what you're doing, there's no point here.
No, that's very true. I mean, this is definitely a
labor of love.
Labor of love. There you go. Yeah, sorry.
For sure. No, you're good. You're good.
A labor of love and barely getting by on it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sometimes it's at least early on in content creation too. It's also like how to not hemorrhage money hand over fist while you're still getting rolling, right? Like all the gear.
Yep.
Yeah. It takes a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think one of the things that allowed us to get into podcasting is the fact that I had all of this from doing live shows and radio. Thankfully I did not have to buy a bunch of microphones. Hey,
hi, Mr. Jamie Maltman is here. Hi, Jamie.
Hello.
How's it going? Oh, see, I love that voice. Can you just say hello again?
Hello.
Yeah, that's
very
nice.
Now read from the dictionary.
Jamie, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I am late because I just finished watching The Prisoner of Azkaban with my kids. So.
That's worth it.
Yeah, dude. We finished reading it last night, and so we got to watch it tonight. And my sister watch it with us.
That's 3? That's the
3.
Third one? Okay.
And I don't believe I had ever seen it before. So that was
gotcha. I know I've seen all of the movies and read all of the books, but everything that isn't the first one or the 6th and 7th ones, I start to jumble in my head, like titles wise. I remember the first one, and I always remember the 6th and 7th. I can never remember the stuff in between.
No spoilers for me because I haven't actually. I think I've seen the next movie, but I haven't read any of the books until I've been reading them to myself.
Oh, gotcha! Awesome. So,
well, I decided somewhere in there that I wanted to share this with my kids as it came along for them. So, and it's awesome. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
On the bright side, you are just now getting into the quote unquote good movies, Like 3 is the one that cinephiles say is the beginning of the good run.
I really
actually
love
like the
3.
first couple. Yeah,
It was really incredibly done distillation, like of most of it on fast forward, and then the fun stuff on the right pacing. So that was neat.
Yeah.
Whereas the second one was a crazy blur of mishmash of trying to get as much as they could and not really knowing what they're doing on that side yet. So
Sure.
yeah, this seems to be that they were finding their feet.
Well, Chris Columbus's movie making style is much different than the guy that came after him. Alphonse, I'm not going to come up with his name now. Cuarón? Is that him?
Alfonso Cuarón.
Cuarón. Ah, nailed it.
Good
Nice.
job.
Yeah, no, his movie making style is much different. If you like the pacing of this one,
Yeah.
you're going to be very happy as they move forward because they definitely stuck with this. Very cool.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
And we've turned into a film podcast. Awesome. There you go. Very good. Jamie, we were just before you got here, we had started talking about why we decided to make content about this versus just playing, right? And you have an even more fascinating way to look at this, I think, because you have the play every day philosophy, right? It's a challenge for yourself this year, but it's sort of a thing that you do all the time. You know, tell us more.
Well, what happened was maybe a year and a half ago, something like that. When I started following Mina's Fresh Cardboard, so Milena Guberinic, who is local to me here in Toronto, I started reading her blog, and she was blogging about the games that she was playing every week on Friday on BGG, she and Peter, and almost all of it 2-player as well. And she did a great job with photos, and she did a great job with reviews, and they were playing like a typical Tuesday. They would play Le Havre, and then Fields of Arla, and then some fillers, and then go to bed. And then on Wednesday, they'd do the same thing. And so like they didn't, like basically their life was whenever they weren't working or having to go somewhere else, they were at home playing games. And I was like, wow, that's pretty neat. And then I randomly, I think they were I was meeting up with them at Board Game Bliss one time, and I randomly ran into someone that was there. And it turned out, I found out later on that week that was Steph Hodge, who is also a prolific blogger about all the games that she's playing. And she plays even more games. Like I think she's played 1,000 games so far this year. And like 294 different games and like 130 new to her games.
Wow.
So I saw these two couples. Now they don't have kids, but they're playing games every day. And it's just such a part of their life. And I love playing games, and my wife had been playing more games with me by then. And like she actually had been playing games with me for a long time, but I started to play more with the kids, and then I was starting to get into solo games. And that's what made me think, like, why not? Like it's kind of that, once you see someone run the 7-minute mile, then you're like, well, that's doable. Why don't I do that too? And so that it opened my eyes to why not play games absolutely every day and have that be the first thing that you do, like the first thing that you choose to do anytime that you have the time. And because I love to do it, and really there aren't that many things I'd rather do. So
I was with you until you talked about running a 7-minute mile. I can honestly say I've never had that conversation in my head.
I can probably drive a 7-minute mile.
Either, so.
I could bicycle a 7-minute mile. I could maybe do that. I'd be like, that's a compromise, right? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
No, I
got there.
No, I got 7 minutes, whatever. No, I totally understand what you mean, though. It's mostly just about how do we think about this hobby, right? Because sometimes it depends on how passionate, and I don't want to make this sound like it's a ranking thing, like some people care more. It's not that at all. It's more just a matter of where do you choose to prioritize this hobby, and can this be a thing that you want to do on the daily, or is this something where you're like, okay, this is a great once a week hobby, or is this, whatever. And no judgment, right? Everybody's got their own sort of mentality and how this is going to fit in. I think us media creators just sort of take it a step further, and we're like, not only do we want to play this, but we want to tell everybody about it.
Well, and just one more thing that links to it as well, because I write. That's another thing that I've done, but I've done less of lately. And I've watched lots of different shows, but I was finding a lot of the shows I liked the best were ones that my kids weren't going to watch with me right now, and my wife wasn't going to watch with me right now. And I'm a big basketball fan. I watch my Raptors, but they aren't really into that with me either. And the writing was something where I'd have to go hide and say, okay, don't bug me. I'm going to do my writing now. Whereas this is, come on in. Let's sit down and let's do this together. Hey, who wants to play a game? So it was rather than a hobby that was taking me away from my family, it was something that was bringing me together with my family as well. So that just looped in with the play every day to just make it make even more sense. And they don't always want to play, and that's where solo games are great, or online games. So,
like Onitama, which you should be playing and logging on the regular. I need the help.
Is there a solo Onitama, or are you saying?
I think you're thinking Onirim.
Onirim. Yes, Onirim.
Okay.
That.
You did confuse me there earlier when you said
Guess who has
confused
Onitama
myself.
on their team, Bill?
Boo, crap. All right. Well, whatever. If I lose now, I will have lost on my own. That's fine. We're talking, by the way, for those of you that have no idea what the hell we're talking about right now, we're talking about the Fantasy Board Game League that Jake and his wife Danielle started over at draftmechanic.net. And they have, I am one of the team owners, and I have Onirim trying to represent my brethren at low player count, also members of PunchBoard Media, by the way, trying to represent them a little bit. And I actually went into their Slack and made a plea. Hey, please log all your solo plays of this because
of Onitama.
Of Onirim. Shut up.
Thank you. Said
Marty,
Onitama.
I know. Marty
Onitama.
Marty in the chat is backing me up that she says the names wrong and gets them confused all the time too. Thank you. Appreciate that.
There's just no bragging rights on the line when she gets it wrong.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If I had a nickel for every time I said something stupid on one of these live stream shows that I did, I would be able to pay my hosting fees for a few months. I'm just saying.
There you go.
That's kind of my thing. Damn it. No. All right. So whatever. Jamie, thank you for being on the show. No, I really want to appreciate. Oh, I don't know why you had connection. Oh, there he goes. Nice. All right. So we know why we play games, right? Because it's a way that we can include family and friends and that sort of thing. And I think we're all sort of agreed on that. We know why we generate content. Why do we buy so many games? What is that? Jake, what are you doing?
Oh, the live studio cat has graced us with the friends.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's for those of you that want to know how the sausage is made, you know, as you see those little pictures across the bottom, all I could see was this, right? Like just like pay no attention to the cat behind the curtain. Nice.
Yeah, he's deaf, and when he can't find anybody in the house, he has to come find somebody, and Danielle's out right now, so
look how cute he is, though.
Look at this cat.
It can be kitty time. That's all right. Nobody minds.
Hello.
I don't think.
Anyway.
There you go. So
why do I buy so many games?
Yeah, let's go there because I actually saw a thing on one of the Slacks. I just want to throw this out there, and I cannot believe, but I don't think this person was kidding, where they were actually having a conversation with themselves about whether food or this latest game was more important this week.
No, somebody is obviously playing that up for the Slack that they don't need to be in.
Is that, I guess.
Oh God, I hope so.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, why do we buy so many board games is probably the same answer to the question of why does anybody who gets into a hobby really, really far, at least far enough to be this deep in the bubble where you're on a YouTube channel talking about board games? I mean, again, we do have to keep perspective that we are a very narrow segment of a very narrow segment. But I feel like the reason that we buy so many board games is because we are so excited for that next burst of, wow, this made my brain do something. Or, oh, man, I'm the first to do this. And I mean, to be completely honest, we also probably play games because we like to win a thing every now and then. And anybody, I completely agree, winning is not everything and it's not important, but it does feel good. And when you have the new thing, it feels good. I think that's fair to say.
Yes.
I suppose if I was waiting for me to win games in order to enjoy the gaming, though, I would.
Oh, I'm not saying that the winning is necessary to enjoy the game, but it does make you feel a little better because your brain did the cool thing.
Yeah, that
makes
I guess.
Thing. Okay, now I'm with you. It doesn't have to be winning, but the brain doing the cool thing.
Yeah.
To win. No, not at all. No, but I mean, it's just like anything else. When you get into a hobby and you get excited about getting into the hobby, you want to get as deep in as you can. I mean, that's why we all have the wall of games everybody knows about.
I feel like there's a cycle. This is cyclic in nature, though, right? Because I think that when people first get into the hobby, they're like, I need to buy all the games. And they literally will start buying things that they hear people talk about, having never played it or even laid eyeballs on it. They're like, well, I trust this person's opinion, so I'm going to buy this. And then eventually, that's your peak, right? And then you start to valley and you say, well, that was dumb. And I've easily spent $500 in games I don't like. So it's time to get rid of some of this crap. And then it starts to valley again. Brian, you do previews for
Yes.
upcoming games. So quite frankly, your job is sort of to be one of those influencers that I'm sort of picking on a little bit in this up climb, right? Like that's sort of what you do. Do you
Yes.
find that it affects you the same way?
I've actually had to curb myself a lot just financially because also space. We moved into this house a couple years ago and just didn't quite have the space. I actually just got my very first shelf ever, which I just installed, and now I've realized I need one more.
You got the Kallax 4x4, solid choice. The 5x5 is
Well, actually, I didn't technically get it. We had friends buy it, and we had friends that are near the IKEA go pick it up. So it was a whole
Team effort.
conjunction thing. So surprise, you're going home with a Kallax. We're like, yay, hope we have room.
Well, that's the joy of the Kallax line, is that they come in so many shapes and sizes that you will fit one everywhere.
Actually, I'm considering. I'm actually considering trying to get the comparable one that's at Target and doing a comparison to them and maybe making that a video. Hey, content.
Okay. There you go.
Well,
and to really be sure, you have to buy one and side by
yeah, of course.
Was it Paul Grogan from Gaming Rules that posted his Kallax misadventures when his room was like 2 inches too small for his shelves or something like that? Sorry, Paul, if you're watching this in the future, I'm really sorry for laughing at you, but I haven't cry laughed like that at a video in a long time. I watched the whole thing and I'm like, you poor man.
Hey, he posted it.
Yeah, that's true. He definitely could have sat and been quiet and been like, yep, nope, nothing to see here. We're good. No, I love that. I love that. The fact that there is a whole, okay, so we're a niche, and then we're a niche inside that niche, and then there is one more niche level, like niche to the third power, or however you want to say that, of what shelving works best for games. Like, do you think there's anybody at IKEA that knows? Do you think that IKEA is like, hey, we have like nerds talking about this weird shelving that we made? They have to know, right?
They know how popular the Kallax and formerly Expedit is, and it's not just board gamers. It is, I mean,
vinyl.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, vinyl. Oh,
that was the original use case.
Yep.
Really? That was what it was originally made for? Oh, I never knew that. That makes perfect sense.
Look at the shape. Look at the size. And
dude, I am a modern DJ. I have not looked at an actual 33 1/3 with anything but slight disdain and scorn in like 20 years.
Boo.
Yeah, you say boo until you try to carry all of them into a gig. And
no, I understand that.
Like, no, I got you.
The last time I moved.
Oh, for sure.
Well, that's also like how board gamers have now taken on to using Cajuns, the drum bag.
Cajon.
Oh, those things.
Cajon? I call them Cajun. I don't know.
Cajon sounds too much like cojones, and then I get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I already have a bag for
Patrick?
that.
Where's Patrick?
Sorry.
But yeah, it's a percussion drum, and I went into a music store and I was like, hey, I'm looking for this bag. And I'm like, oh yeah, do you play? I'm like, no, I play board games, and that's the perfect size for it. And I went in and bought that, and yes, it's the perfect size to fit like 5 or 6 square box games.
How's the strap holding up?
It's actually pretty good.
Okay.
I've only had it for a couple months, so.
I ask because one of my friends that I game with, who I dubbed Captain Buys a Lot on my show, went and bought one of those Cajon bags, and the strap already started tearing because the games, well, because a Cajon is wood, but it's also hollow, so it's not particularly heavy. And you get that much cardboard, a significantly denser amount of cardboard in that bag. The strap isn't made for that. So just kind of here's your pro tip. Keep an eye on that and reinforce it. If you know somebody that knows their way around with a needle and thread, you can reinforce it.
I kind of wish mine goes long ways, and I kind of wish it went tall ways because I try to keep my games flat because I have a lot of games that if you put it on its side, you will never play it.
Oh, here we go with this the bookshelf versus the landscape storing thing. All right,
Well,
hang on. Round the
That's what I
table.
like.
Which way do you go?
Mostly
Flat.
vertical.
Vertical, right? Me too.
Mostly vertical, but some, like Days of Wonder, goes horizontal.
Well, I want to be all vertical, but there are some games I can't do that with. Seasons, games that have that insert that only works horizontal.
So my copy of Rattlebones has a custom insert because I'm ridiculous. Yeah, I know.
Rattlebones.
Yeah. So all the little
Pimped
die
out
faces,
Rattlebones.
huh? All the little die faces that gives them their own little separate cups.
Right.
So you don't have to sort them or whatever, or dump them all out or whatever. I don't know. I had a moment of weakness. Let me just say that I was on a tear buying inserts back in the day. Shut up. Anyway, that insert makes
waited for Dice Forge.
See, yeah. See, not everybody goes into that niche within the niche within the niche.
Oh,
That's a fourth level niche is the insert.
the inserts.
We were
Going on a tear of
what do
buying.
gamers get to first, the insert or the calyx?
I would say that inserts probably happen before Kallaxes in the hobby right now, because inserts are a thing that for some games take the game from, oh God, I can't believe I have to set this up, into, sure, we can play that. Like The Colonists is a great example. That's one of those games where if you don't have some sort of storage solution figured out for the Colonists, just the idea of what you face palmed. You all right, Jake?
Oh, well, there's a reason I haven't played it yet.
Oh, because the setup. Yeah.
Yep.
I love that game, but it took me 3 iterations to find a storage solution that I really liked. When I watched Rado's run through of it, his was literally like 3 cereal bowls, and he dumped all the goods into one, all the buildings into another, and all the meeples into a third, and called it a day. And I was like, oh God, please kill me. No, I can't do that. So yeah, no, I don't know. But I think probably inserts come first. I don't know. They did for me anyway. Like I definitely thought about inserts before I thought about shelving.
I guess to buy an insert, but I really, really need some. My Dead of Winter, both of them are a hot mess.
Yeah, I guess also the inserts have the advantage of I can click a button online and it gets sent to me. They have not yet found a way to send me a calyx.
Oh, that's because you don't have Amazon Prime, sir.
Oh no, we do, but I mean a real, honest to goodness IKEA calyx. Come on.
Yep.
There's no secondary. But yeah, I mean the inserts are definitely. I think you hit it on the nail on the head there. With it helps the game setup. It helps the play. I have the Dead of Winter Broken Token insert, and that makes that game so much easier to set up because it has a ton of little stuff. And a lot of games like that just need that. Among the Stars, I have an insert for because I have everything for that game, and it would be unmanageable otherwise.
Yes, I agree. For the record, you absolutely can buy IKEA on Amazon Prime Ship. Just throwing that out there.
Wait, are you serious?
No, I just double checked it myself to make sure.
I just remember looking. I remember looking at those before, and it was like, okay, yeah, here's the shelf for $100. By the way, $200 shipping. I'm like, hell, no.
Nope. Free shipping on Amazon.
No way.
Now you don't even have to be near an IKEA. You can. Yep. Yeah.
I am very near an IKEA though.
Public service announcement. I'm not. I live in a small town that's about a solid hour away from any IKEA stores, and maybe more like an hour and a half until they build the new one up north of me next year. So
that's so much more expensive on Amazon though.
Hey, look.
Anyway,
what do you want, man?
I want it now for very cheap. Is what I've decided I want.
Oh well, alrighty then. There you go. Grab some cardboard, or not cardboard.
Can I make a foam core calyx? Is what I want to know.
Wow,
you could. I wouldn't put games on it.
I want somebody to do this so bad.
for like a dollhouse or like a miniature setting.
Oh God! Please, somebody has to have already done that, right? Like made dollhouse scale replica board games and nerded out their dollhouse. This has to be a thing. If it isn't,
there is some of that somewhere.
Oh, I wouldn't. No surprise.
Of course, you know this, Jamie. This is the exact sort of esoteric thing that you'd be like, yeah, for sure. Nice. All right. Let's change gears a little bit here because we're sort of all over the map. We turned into a film show for a few minutes, and we also told people that we were going to talk about Essen releases.
Okay.
So I know that not all of us are big on like Essen preview stuff, but Jamie is
No, Essen's my time of year, so
Awesome.
yeah.
outstanding. So what's your big like the first thing that you think of when you think of Essen right now, like the release wise? What's the game?
See, that's complicated actually, because seriously, because two of the games that I'm most interested in are coming out at Essen, but I kickstarted earlier in the year, so they'll be coming to me somewhere around that time.
Okay. That's close enough.
And that's Clans of Caledonia.
Okay.
Is one of them, and then Keeper is the other one.
Keeper. Okay.
Keeper. So Clans of Caledonia is the one that's Karma Games, Juma Al Juju, and it's art by Clemens Franz, and it is modular board. Think Terra Mystica in terms of different clans, and you're building onto a board, and you are making whiskey and stuff as well. But there's a dynamic market for the different resources as Scotland is industrializing, and it just hits a bunch of, hits on all cylinders for me. I'm very excited about that one. It looks really cool. This dynamic goods market combined with the sort of Terra Mystica putting out pieces, and as you put the pieces on the board, it's revealing your production each turn, that sort of thing. Like it's very, I think you would like it too, Bill.
This is one that's sort of been on my radar a little bit, and this is going to sound stupid, but there's something wrong with my brain, which I know that most of you already know, but there's something wrong with my brain where there are specific like game names. If they get too similar, I start to conflate them in my brain. And there's another one. It's
Cadwallon or something like that.
Castles of something.
Castles of or whatever. There's the Caladale one, and there's something.
Caladale. That's the one.
Caladale, Cadwallon somewhere, and then this all are.
Right. So there was Castles of Caladale and Clans of Caledonia, and I had these two conflated in my brain because Castles of Caladale is the super light,
drafting tile game or something.
Tile game, right? And so when I heard about this, I'm like, wait, A, I thought I'd already seen this, and B, isn't this out? This is this is not me at all. But yeah, you're absolutely right. This one for sure.
Yeah. So that was one. And then the other one is Keeper by Keyper by Richard Breese.
Richard Breese.
So the latest one in the Key, not trilogy, whatever. Lots of Key games that he's made. So, but this one has different types of meeples, and they were actually meeple sourced. Like every meeple is different, I think, in this one.
Yep.
And it's got these boards where you're going to get these boards that have your landscapes and buildings, but they flip. So like half of the board will flip in a later season, so it makes a different board later.
Okay.
Got this really neat thing. So it's got a lot of aspects of what you might like from, or what I like, what my wife likes from Keyflower. Keyflower is a game where she liked 3 seasons of it, thought it was fantastic, and then the thing that she'd been working towards with the winter tiles in her hands that she put out, and then we bid on them, and then I overbid her on that, and she almost flipped the table. Like the fact that you can go down this path, and especially if you don't know what tiles are out there and you don't know what you could be working towards in those first few games, she hated that bidding part, that she could be outbid and completely lose what she was working towards. She doesn't really like auctions in general, or bidding type dynamics, but this one I think will take everything that was good for her, but doesn't have anything on that side. And it's also got a following dynamic where you can go with someone and it makes it more powerful for both of you, I think, as you're placing your workers. And then once you've used up all your workers, you can continue to use workers by lying them down or something. So it's this very like positive interaction. It's still very interactive, but a positive one. It just sounds really cool. I like the sound of that.
I have been a sucker for Richard Breese's Key series of games since the get-go. Cathedral has a very prominent place on my shelf that it'll never leave, even though it's not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination. There's only one game of his I think I've ever played that I distinctly didn't like, and it's the one game that isn't published as the Key series. That's Aladdin and Dragons. That was originally part of it. I'm not a big fan of that one. Everything else I've ever played in that series is awesome. And I
thought you were going to say bad things about Inhabit the Earth. So
I haven't played Inhabit the Earth.
Okay.
That one
I like that too.
No, that one I haven't played yet.
Not everyone does.
Gotcha.
Wowbagger
Wowbagger in the chat room wanted us to talk about Clans of Caledonia versus Gaia Project. Like if there's I think he said fight. I don't know how we're going to do that because
why not both?
Because I haven't played either one, so I can tell you which one I'm more enthusiastic about, which for me would be Clans of Caledonia. I really like Terra Mystica, and I don't feel like I need a reimagining of it in space. I think it's great just the way that it is, especially since I have the Fire and Ice expansion, and I have acrylic overlays for my board because I'm that big of a nerd.
You're kind of locked into the Terra Mystica then.
Yeah, I just really like it. Like, I don't think that I don't need another game like it. Like, to me, it would be like, I don't know. It doesn't need fixing or redoing. So I'm less enthusiastic about that. I will definitely play it. It's just, it isn't one where I'm like, ooh, I need to have this in my life. Clans of Caledonia is doing something different.
And it's funny because when it was when we first started hearing about this Terra Mystica in space coming out, I mean, it was like, wow, I'm definitely going to get that. I'm really excited about it. I am still really interested in it, and I really want to play it, but I haven't been getting Terra Mystica played as much as I would like to even explore everything that's there to then warrant the other one yet. Whereas I'm sure I could get Clans of Caledonia played a ton, and I think it'll like out of the box 2-player, no problem. It's got a solo mode as well. So just again, like you're saying, those differences, and that I really like dynamic markets. So that's a very exciting thing. And I have a bit of Scottish background, so that doesn't hurt either. But the fact that terraforming in space of like different worlds, that makes sense as an idea, and I think that's good too. So I was going to get it for sure, but now I'm looking at it and it's like I think I just saw the pre-order is like $100 Canadian. So that's just gets into the wait a minute, let's think about that some more.
I'm really interested to see how Gaia Project works. I've played Terra Mystica. I enjoy the game. I don't own a copy, so I've got Gaia Project on the maybe I'll pick it up someday. But I'm interested to see how the modular board works for that, because that is obviously the big like wow thing that they're bringing to it, as in addition to the space. But I will say the art looks really bad. And
I don't
really
turns
me
like
off.
space art, and that like space art done in this typical space style usually turns me off. And that would be an example of that. Compared to, I love the graphic design of like the colors and everything done on Terra Mystica. I like from the very beginning.
It's bright and inviting.
I'm just like, it's spacey.
The box cover of Gaia Project looks like it came out in the 80s.
You know, it's funny to me. I think I am the exact opposite of both of you on all fronts here. I love Terra Mystica, but think it's ugly as sin on the table. And I don't like it.
Because you don't like multicolor stuff. You think Kingdom Builder looks horrible. And
yes. Kingdom Builder is clown puke on a table. Yeah, it's terrible. It's just, are you kidding me? No, it's not great.
Not at all. I like Kingdom Builder a lot.
Oh, boo. Thank you for joining us, Jamie. I really appreciate you being here. Sorry.
In conclusion, everybody should get Gaia Project, play it a lot, and rate it very high. Hashtag FBGL 2016-17. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I want to so really fast. Now I want to transition. You actually given me segues for both of the games that I am going into Essen thinking about. I'll start with the easy one though, which is Pulsar 2849 from Czech Games Edition. This is a dice drafting game, sort of. No, it's not sort of. It is dice drafting, but higher dice are theoretically more powerful, but will impact your turn order for future turns, which I think is a really interesting way of approaching that. I think that it's fairly simple. It's not a very complex looking game at all, but I really dig it. And it's got the space theme that I really like. I will say that I don't know how big of a fan I am of the art. Like
the new box cover looks really good.
Yeah, that's true. The new box cover is good. I mean, the art in actual gameplay, it looks a little bit overly simplistic from what I saw, like the actual board itself. But other than that, I really dig the idea of this. I think mechanically, this is one of those games that is just innovative enough that it's not going to hurt your brain trying to figure out what the hell's going on, but will take an established thing and put a good spin on it, which I really dig.
I didn't realize this was Vladimir Suchi.
Yep, this is the same guy that did Last Will and Shipyard, and
I am changing my rating on it to must-have now.
Yeah. This is a big.
That sounds really good.
That is the game that at BGGCon next month I will be crashing the Czech Games booth to buy, like I did a couple years ago with Alchemists.
Nice,
because for sure that's one of those games. And then the other one that I was going to say is 4X. Have you seen this yet?
Oh, I saw
FOR-EX.
Heavy Cardboard posted the picture of that today.
Yep. And Travis,
the back of the box picture. Did you see that?
Yeah,
that was hilarious.
Wall of text.
That is absolutely hilarious. No, but read it. It's
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did today. Basically, the back of the box says, "Why are you buying this game? This game is dull about dull things that only that nobody likes."
And math.
Right, and
it's completely
like
opaque.
Yeah, and it is math, and this game is going to be confusing. And if you're buying this because you're our kind of people, we are your kind of people. Thank you for buying this. It's like this weird, self-effacing non-sales pitch. The game is all about currency markets and currency manipulation. That's it. And this is the segue, by the way, that you gave me, Jamie, was that you like the idea of the markets, that fluctuating markets based on people's actions. This is all that. Like 4X, literally, that's the entire game. And I really want to play this. I am not sure I need to own this. Like, I definitely.
Exactly.
I know Travis from Low Player Count says he will have his copy at BGG. And I'm planning on stalking him and following him around mercilessly until he lets me play it. Just because I need to see how this is. But I don't know. Brian, we've been yapping nonstop. How about you? Is there any Essen stuff that you're really jazzed about, or any of the stuff we talked about that really lights your fire? Or
I've actually pulled up the list. I'm like furiously clicking through.
It's a big list.
It is a big list, but I've already pulled a few of them.
All right.
The Palace of Mad King Ludwig, is that coming out?
Yes.
I think that's actually coming out now, yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so that's the spiritual sequel, right? Like it's not an expansion. It's another.
Correct.
Because everybody's building in the same palace now. I'm a big Castles fan, so this was definitely one that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I had a chance to play that at Dice Tower Con. We played a full game of it. It's really, really neat, and it will sneak up on you. The end. It's interesting. The end of the game is dictated by, as you are building out more rooms on the thing, you're going to be kind of placing these moat tiles on the outside. And then as you start building more and more pieces, the amount of moat pieces you're going to be placing escalates dramatically. So the game you won't see the end of the game coming until maybe about 3 turns out. And then you're just like, oh, this is going to happen real fast. It is a really, really cool pacing on that game, which is something I really enjoyed. And when we were done with it, it felt like we did something. It felt like we had made a castle. I never got an incomplete feeling from Palace.
It's one of those games that you want to take a picture of when you're done.
Yeah, it looks really good.
And go ahead.
I'm torn on this. I wanted to like Castles of Mad King Ludwig a lot more than I actually did. Like I loved the act of fitting the things together and making the crazy looking castle, but the mechanics of how I got there, the weird master builder setting the prices thing, brain burned everybody at my table so much that it caused an AP lock. Like it just caused people to overthink that part so much that the game ended up dragging on longer than we wanted it to for the feel.
The master builder thing is all gone in Palace.
Right.
It is just straight. You have your little tracker that tracks what kind of rooms you've built, and you're just building and building and building and building. It plays very quick.
Good. Well,
Awesome.
Go ahead, Jamie.
No, I was just going to say, like the funny, I think Castles falls into this funny spot where, like, I play it with my family, and it's fantastic.
Okay.
I think if you play it if you try and game it, it's not as much fun as if you just play it to enjoy building this castle and try and maximize your stuff. Like, maximize your fun rather than trying to maximize the winning of the game. And then it's amazing. Like, it really is so much fun. And when my son, who's 5 or was like 4 at the time, was being the master builder, it was a blast. And I don't know. I've had a lot of fun with it, and I had a lot of fun with the app too, which I did get to play test.
Oh, that's a really good app.
The challenges in there are so cool.
So then, here's the problem, though. I can go into a game of Castle of Mad King Ludwig with exactly that mentality, and I can try and get people with that mentality into the game in the same way. But if the game hits the table with a different style of player, you
don't play it.
What you want to do, right? But then, and this is where the game starts to fall apart for me, right? Because if the game wants you to play with people that are going to play it a certain, like with a specific intent or motive, then sometimes that game will fall a little flatter for me because it's harder to find people that are quote unquote. It's almost like playing boy, I can't believe I'm comparing this to a social deduction game, but like if you play social deduction games with people that don't get social deduction, the game can suck, right? Like the game.
What a negotiation game.
Yeah, or a negotiation game. It's an even better example. Yes. Yeah, play diplomacy with people that don't understand that. and it's like drinking bleach for 12 hours. It's terrible, right? Like, you just don't want to do it. It's a terrible idea. But if you can get the right people. So castles, for me, most of my experiences have been with people that can't approach games from that mindset, that everything has to be about min-maxing and winning. And it just sucks the fun out of, and that can suck the fun out of a lot of games, but there are tons of games where their mentality doesn't have to affect how you play, right? Like they can sit and stare at the Terraforming Mars card tableau for, a minute while it's going around the table and everything's fine. But, it doesn't directly mess with my enjoyment. I don't know. I think that's
Let's play one of these other games.
Yeah,
it is more niche than maybe it could have been if it was done differently. But I'm okay with the niche that it's in. I just think we need to communicate that, and that's like us being in board game media, communicating that fact. That's everything for what's useful to someone.
Yeah, for sure, and really, this is speaking to a point that you should always kind of keep in the back of your head, right? Which is play the right games with the right people. It's, you have that guy that gets his feelings hurt all the time. Maybe you don't grab diplomacy, for the game night where you don't grab diplomacy for a game night with anybody, but
even it wasn't that. It's not even necessarily the feelings getting hurt. Like one of my friends, my local Captain Buys a Lot, Elton, he had a friend of his was at our local all day convention and was like, hey, bring Max in. And we played the Cosmic Encounter, but Game of Thrones one, whatever it's called. The name never sticks with me, but that's Game of Thrones, the Iron Throne, maybe? Is that
Cosmic Throne Encounter?
Yeah, exactly. So we played that one. Oh my gosh, he just Facebook messaged me right now. He knows I'm talking about him. But no, that's really trippy. So he got this guy Max in. Max loves to play Agricola and is very good at that. Like very good at blocking you while moving forward. Like he's a fantastic, like maximizing block you type Euro player that doesn't like other types of direct conflict as much. But in a negotiation game, he just sits there and tries to do it himself and doesn't talk to people. And it's horrible. And he screws up the game for everyone. And so just don't make that guy play that game. Like it's just like, don't do that.
And you know what? If it bears mentioning, I'll be the curmudgeon. I don't care. I'll be the bad guy for a minute here. Don't be that guy either. Like if you're sitting down at a game, at least attempt to engage with the game in the way that it's intended to be played, right? Like if it's a negotiation game, don't just sit there and fold your arms and say, well, I don't want to do that. I mean, that's, I don't know.
How did you end up in this game?
Why did you bring me here?
Yeah, why are you here?
Why did you make me play this game? Those guys are playing Terra Mystic over there. But yeah.
Exactly.
So, Brian, Palace of Mad King Ludwig, do I have your interest?
Yes.
There you
With
go.
all that, I'm still interested in that game. It's kind of like the style of game that I personally like, and luckily my group likes. And we do have some AP people, but we can kind of, be like, oh, come on, hurry up, and we can just egg them on and stuff, and we can get through a game pretty easily.
Yeah. I feel like it'll minimize the AP versus that Master Builder track.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited to get a copy. I think it's going to be a good one.
Sometimes I wonder with these spiritual successor games like this, if this is a designer / publisher reacting to a game maybe not flowing the way that they thought it was going to when it gets released into the wild, right? Like, do you ever feel that way? Like, for instance, we'll go back to Near and Far is above and below, as Gaia Project might be to Terra Mystica, where people were complaining that the board was too easily gamed, or maybe scale. Right, or doesn't scale or whatever, or something like this. I wonder if sometimes this is them going, wow, you're right, we didn't nail this, let's take another swing at it and put something else out.
And it's not something that a expansion can fix.
Yeah,
That's
part of it could just be them growing as a designer as well, though, right?
Yeah,
like that's
that's a really like I've said many times that I feel like we have all watched Uwe Rosenberg grow as a designer, right? Because we had his early farming games, Bonanza, and then we had Agricola, and then we had Caverna, which felt like Agricola 2.0. It felt like a new
complicated. That's a really complicated discussion, though, because you've got a whole ton of heavy gamers who are like, his epitome was his Harvest trilogy, and he went off the rails after that, and he's awful, and I hate what he's done ever since. And I'm with you. But I like both. But it just like I love Feast for Odin, but those people don't, and they feel like he's lost it.
Yeah, but those are the same. That's the same personality type that rants and raves about, Green Day after they came out with an album, or Metallica. I'm sorry, I'm a music nerd. I think of the same thing. It's like Metallica sucked after the Black Album, blah, or whatever. There's always going to be old school versus new school mentalities, right? But I see what you're saying though. It's like the evolution.
Went from tension being his big thing in that mid-range, because he was Bonanza and Mamma Mia and random stuff before that. But in the Harvest Trilogy era of stuff, it was tension, and it was worker placement as savage blocking of each other. And then he said, what if we have more choices? And what if we could just be able to do lots of different things? And I love that, and I'm good with that. My wife, I can play those games with my wife, whereas she doesn't want to play those original ones. So it's been a better fit for me. But he's qualitatively changed. It's an evolution that's not necessarily, I don't know. It's evolved away from people's taste, which is an interesting thing.
Jamie, I know that we all know what you're talking about here, but the Harvest Trilogy, the three games in it, just to be clear, are Agricola,
Le Havre, and Gates of Loyang. Right?
Loyang. Okay. I'm just making sure that everybody thinks of this as thinking of the same three, because I know people that have heard Harvest Trilogy and think you're talking about Agricola, Caverna, and Feast for Odin lately, which is, they all have harvest phases, right? Yep. But
and Fields of Arla.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. I just want to make sure that
Wait,
what?
Newsfjord.
Oh,
the new big box Uwe game coming out at Essen this year.
Oh, nice segue, sir. Well done. I missed this one entirely.
There you go. Yeah, no, it's something about a fishing village in Norway, and seems like another worker placement game. I don't know what its hook is, but it is. I'm interested.
That is such an Uwe thing. It's a fishing game in Norway.
Yep. He has that, and then he has Indian Summer as well, which, pardon the name, whatever.
Sure.
Anyway, but it's which is in his Polyomino trilogy or whatever he's calling that. So it's another one from the Cottage Garden
network.
But I think they're saying it's the second in that trilogy, because they're like a game cafe in Berlin that published Cottage Garden, and now they're publishing this one as well.
His is the same box style as Cottage Garden.
Yeah, for better or for worse.
Yeah,
that one caves pretty well.
Nice. I think that, I don't know. I really like the Uwe farming games. I like all of them in various aspects or another. For the longest time, Caverna was the Agricola killer for me. Now I've gotten to the point where I enjoy both of them differently, and they're just sort of their own critters, right? Like I don't even think of them as one better than the other. It's just a different game experience. Because like you, Caverna is the more open, friendly version. Agricola is the more head down, I got to think this through game,
right?
Which I really dig. But Newsfjord, I don't. I'm also kind of getting burned out on them, right? Like, how many of these freaking games do we need? I don't know. Also, I'm still desperately in love with Feast for Odin, so that's the thing, right? Like,
and I'm more excited, like you, for the Feast for Odin expansion, which is not even coming out this year, but I know people that are playtesting it, and then the Fields of Arla expansion, which is coming out pretty soon. And I also know people who playtest and think it's great, who it's one of their top 3 games, and they love that expansion as well.
Yeah,
we had T,
the Arl,
and a third player that none of us are going to have. But
for what, Arl? Yeah. What? There's going to be a third player?
No.
I have
no. We're not going to use it, and nobody wants it, but it will exist.
I literally said earlier before we started the show that I was trying not to look at anything about the Arl expansion because I wanted to be. Damn it! That's fine.
It's over now. It's over now.
Three-player Arl? What? That's dumb. Whatever. I mean, it's not dumb. I get it. It's fine. You're right. I don't know. It's like playing Scythe with 7 players. Theoretically, you can, right? Because the expansion added 2 more, but no one in their right mind is going to do that because what?
We did that for New Year's this year.
Yeah.
We have in our game group side, there's another one that comes up a lot because it is a great game and a lot of people really enjoy it. And the cat is back. Here's the cat.
Welcome to the cat.
But when you play Scythe with 7 with people that know what they're doing, it goes pretty dang fast.
Oh yeah,
there's not a lot of space on that board.
Yeah. Just
And
don't,
I cannot wait to play that with.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to play Scythe with 7 with the new end game conditions in this new expansion. I think it's going to be really good.
From the Wind Gamut, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. I love Scythe. I still don't own it. I just haven't gotten around to getting it yet. I'm really hoping that I put something sexy enough in a current math trade that I'll end up with a copy in a couple of weeks, because we'll see how it happens. But yeah, I love that game. I just haven't ever gotten around to spending the money on it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, but if you have people that want to and are good at it, 7 is worth playing, just not a lot. Don't do that often.
Sure. And I'm a total hypocrite, right? Because I'm out of one side of my mouth saying that I would never want to play 7-player Scythe. And on the other half, I'm organizing a 9-player Eclipse game at BGG. So I feel like all right, I'm that guy. Whatever. Eclipse has rules for 2 people taking the turns at the same time, damn it. It's not that weird. Yeah, no, it's all right. All right. So let's see. Brian, we are 8 tangents away from you bringing up Palaces of Mad King Ludwig. Sorry.
That's fine.
I'm trying so hard. Is there anything else from that list that you still haven't copy pasted into the chat so that way I can give it to the chat room? Anything else?
I seen a lot of people talking about photosynthesis.
Oh yeah, the abstract game that Brandon Kemp has talked about a lot on in his network.
Mm-hmm. And that was pretty much all I had. That one just looks interesting, so I've been pretty curious about that.
That's out now, right? Like, does that that exists now?
I think so.
Yeah,
we got it at Gen Con.
I hate abstract games. Like I really do. I can't. I don't know why. I just can't. So an abstract really has to be something special for me to even try to play it. And this doesn't look like it yet.
At least it's somewhat thematic. Like everything seems like it has some thematic grounding. At least like it's not a pure abstract. I'm generally disinterested by pure abstracts, but like Santorini worked with my family because it's got just enough of something going on there and looks really pretty. I know it's not for you. That's okay.
It's okay. I'm allowed to roll my eyes over here every once in a while. I know. I have it on my fantasy board game league team.
Yeah. I really like abstract games.
Nice.
Anybody want a copy of Photosynthesis?
You know what, Jake? If you want to send it over here, I'll give it a shot.
I don't know. Brian seems to be really excited about it. My frustration with it is the scoring. I think the scoring is not paced well. Depending on what level soil you end the life cycle of your tree, you get these different point shits. And the 4-point soil or the 4-level soil in the middle is like 24 to 22 points. And then the next level is like 19 to 17. And it kind of goes down like that. And your level 1 soil is 11 to 13 or 11 to 15 or something like that. So like I feel like the levels are not balanced very well. They're big numbers, and that means if you get one tree behind, yours doesn't matter what you do. But the mechanics of building trees is a lot of fun. I like the way that the sun mechanic works. It just the scoring is odd, and I don't understand it. I mean, I understand it, and I just don't like it.
Gotcha. I am.
But it's really pretty.
It does look neat.
And some people really, really like it, so I'm probably wrong in some way.
Well, just because somebody likes it doesn't mean you're wrong. There are a lot of games that people really like that I can't play. I actually have a fairly. We've done multiple shows on the Cubist about that. Like, I want you to know, by the way, I am math trading for the El Grande big box. I'm trying to anyway. I know.
Okay.
Jamie's giving me the stink eye because I was super vocal about how much I hate El Grande. It's like one of the 3 games that I love talking about how much I don't like. I'm hoping that the big box with its expansions and whatnot will bring enough more to the table that it'll fix the issues I have with the game. That's all. Plus, I can probably math trade it back away if I hate it. So
the sweeteners on that trade are Trajan and Kingdom Builder. So.
Trajan Kingdom Builder? What's wrong with you? Are you watching the trade that I'm doing?
No, I'm just messing with it.
No, they both really are on there. This is creeping me out. Jamie's stalking me. This is not okay. All right. Are any of us going to Essen, by the way?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
I'm not even sure I wish that I was.
So I went once in 2001. I went on the company dime. At the time I was working with Mayfair Games. And so I went with Mayfair, and I had a great time traveling, but the convention itself was not for me. It's too many people and too much. It's just too much. I don't like, I think Gen Con's too much, right? So like if I can't handle Gen Con, I'm sure as hell not going to have a good time at Essen.
Yeah.
Because all it is like the vendor halls of Gen Con and then people buying stuff and running off to go play it at their hotel because that's the only place you can play, right?
Right, because there's no gaming space, right? It's literally just one big giant dealer hall.
But if you do a demo, you're doing the whole game.
That's
in
true.
general. So
That's
there's
true.
that.
On
but
the rare instances,
with wrong randos, then that could be bad. So.
On the rare instances when you can get a demo, though, because there are just so many people and so much traffic that, like, you really have to luck into it. And half the time, just like any big convention, right? The demos that have open seats are the ones that nobody's playing. There's a reason for that, right? Like it's that unfortunately where there's smoke, there's fire. There you go. I don't know. I want to go back just because I want to travel again, but like literally my biggest reason to go would be because I'd like to go back to Germany, not even to go to Essen. I know I'm weird. I'm probably just looking at it from a skewed viewpoint because I've already done it, right?
Yeah,
like
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but
I'm like I've talked to my wife about someday if the kids were really into it, if we would go for a Europe trip that would just happen to pass through there and we go for the day. While we're there and then head on to somewhere else like that.
Right.
That would fit for us, I think.
Right. Well, and that day you would see like maybe a third of it, right? Because it takes so long to get through it, even if you really focus. But yeah, I get you. I'm basically in the same. Like for me, it would be more like I would go, but I would have no real drive for anything specific. So it would just me aimlessly wandering and then being like, yeah, I'm bored. I'm going to go have, schnitzel.
See, I also look at it as I could spend the money on that flight or I could buy all the games I want from Essen. So
there's that. Yeah. And when I went in 2001, okay, board game media wasn't a thing to nearly the level it is now. So going to Essen was how you discovered these games, right? Like this was how this happened.
Months later, I heard about the new Alea big box game coming to our guy who was importing them into Canada. Like that was what we heard. That was it.
Yep. Yeah. So, and I traveled in October of 2001. For those of you that have calendars handy, you'll know that comes right after September of 2001, which is not an awesome time to fly in the United States. So I haven't taken my shoes off that many times in one 24-hour period in my life as I did traveling that way. So my whole travel experience was a little bit skewed as well. But yeah, was the only way you experienced Essen, right? There was no Essen preview videos on 20 different channels. And Board Game Geek existed, but didn't have Board Game Geek News. And, there just wasn't that exposure. So for me nowadays, you can experience so much of it virtually that the hassle of taking your shoes off 12 times, going through customs and airports and whatever, significantly less for me.
Yeah.
Plus you can go to BGG Con, which is 3,000 people as opposed to 300,000 people. You can experience all the same games. You don't have to, well, I guess Jamie would still have to go through customs, but for us America-centric folks, it's a whole lot cheaper and easier and whatever. We need to get you to go to BGG Con, Jamie. I know that it doesn't work, and there's a million reasons why it doesn't work, but it needs to happen. We need all of it.
Time of year, it's not crazy bad, but this year we're going on the Dice Tower Cruise anyway, so that is way too close to that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And those guys aren't even going now because of, I think.
Wait, what?
I don't think the Dice Tower guys are going anymore now because
they end up on
a cruise the next. Yeah, and then I think they're doing that too.
Mm-hmm. Suzanne and Mandy
to a lesser extent.
Suzanne and Mandy are going on the cruise, if I recall correctly.
They are. That's awesome. And I just saw Mandy on the weekend at Proto TO.
Yeah, she's
our local burgeoning unpub scene in Toronto.
Cool. Okay. All right. We are 12 tangents away, and I'm supposed to be better at hosting this crap than I currently am because this is what I do, and yet somehow I'm off. Jake, we haven't hit you yet. What Essen releases are you big for?
I have already pre-ordered Agra.
Mm-hmm.
That is a new, I guess, slightly heavy Euro game coming from Michael Keller, half of the designer of La Granja. I'm very excited about it. I know that it has a whole bunch of Euro-y goodness, and it looks really awesome on a table. And that's as much as I know about it so far because I've read the rule book 3 times.
The BGG page has it listed as a weight of 4.43.
That can't be right. That's got to be like one guy has rated it at some point.
That's a load of crap.
There's no way. There's no way.
No, four people have rated it as heavy. 2 people have rated it medium heavy, and 1 person has rated it medium. And I think that's just because they looked at the board and they're like, those things look big.
Yeah. The one thing I've heard people say is that it's got that one part that's almost like the marble thing from Potion Explosion, but it's used for like your nobles climbing up some palace thing or something.
Oh yeah,
that's
the 3D.
It looks really cool.
Board.
Yeah.
The Imperial board, it is apparently called.
Yeah. I'm very excited about the expansion to the Bloody Inn game from a few years ago. It's called the Carnies, and we are big fans of that game, so we were very excited to see what that brings to the table.
Yeah, I'm with you, Will. Let's bring the Carnies to the Bloody Inn.
Boy, oh boy,
things weren't weird enough already.
I've never played Bloody Inn, so I can't speak to that one.
But the concept is crazy.
It's fun. It's got good multi-use cards. It's incredibly tight on the economy. It is like painfully tight with the number of actions you get and the amount of money you have, and you have to convert your spending cash into actual cash, and it's a real just frustrating system, but it's good. It's a good game. So I'm excited to see what an expansion does for it.
It's been on my list for a while because because I've actually worked in the hotel industry for quite a while. So
you thought about doing these things.
You want to experience the frustration of your real job again.
It also has fantastic art from Weberson Santiago, one of our very favorite artists in this household. He does some awesome stuff. He did an amazing version of Coup. The Brazilian edition is what it's called, and it just looks, it's so cool. Such good art.
He does have a really unique art style, doesn't he? I'm looking at pictures of it on BGG right now.
I'm going to cheat a little with something else I'm excited about, and that is the 3 games in the Fast Forward series.
Yes!
Coming from Friedman Fries. We have them, which is why it's a cheat. We have played through all of Fortress. It's really, really cool.
Okay. Cool.
That is
I'm just mad. No, I'm not even stunned. I'm just mad. I want that. Damn it. No, I'm really geeked about these two. Because like Fabled Fruit, right, pretends to be this campaign game that sort of evolves as you play, but the gameplay itself is kind of weak early, right? Like it's almost too light.
It's very simple.
It's almost too light to make you want to keep playing it to unlock the stuff that comes later. So I love the idea. It feels like, again, this is another thing like I was talking about before about maybe Friedman was like, wow, I was so close. How about this? And do something else. I really dig
I'll tell you, the thing about Fortress, we sat down with a group of 4 and we played the entire deck. It took maybe 2.5 hours to play the maybe 12 or so games that it took to play. In addition to, obviously, new stuff comes out, new mechanics come out as the game plays, there was this really cool thing that I never expected but made perfect sense, that as you play it, people are drawing cards, and you don't know what that person just got. You don't know what the crazy new mechanic is until it's sprung on you. These things are coming up, and maybe you'll be the person that draws that really cool thing, and you're like, oh, I know a really cool thing I can do that nobody else knows about. And it just like, it was such a cool experience. So I'm hoping the other 2 do just as good.
Cool. So if I send you my address, I will stand by my statement that people should log Onitama. I'm just saying, that's my bargaining chip. I will keep saying the wrong game if you send me Fortress. I mean, just throwing that out there. Nope, fine. Jamie, you need to get rolling, I think.
I need to get rolling, yes.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah,
this was a lot of fun.
I will just give you a couple of names to look out for of other things before I head out. I like Matt Gertz, like Concordia and Navigador a lot. Transatlantic is finally probably releasing here at Essen.
Finally, probably.
It's been for a couple of years that it's been building up to coming out. And then the other one that's really neat that I saw the picture and said, wow, that's a cool box, was Noria, Noria.
Yes. Yeah, that one.
Stronghold is going to be doing a version of. And I can't remember what her name is, but is it Sophie Wagner or something like that is the designer? Something like that. And it's got this neat buildable action wheel kind of a thing. And it's like this airship picture, and the art looks fantastic. So I don't know all that much about that, but that's one I'm really leaning in and wanting to know more about. So
That's
anyway,
really
that's me. I am gonna head out, but you have fun and always a pleasure chatting games with you guys.
By the way,
All
that's
right.
what about sounds like when you're Canadian.
Okay.
See, I don't say anything like that. Damn. They were giving me crap
Yeah.
before you got here, Jamie. I'm
not Rodney saying cards.
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 That's easy. I have my Ontario newscaster accent. There you go.
There you go.
Like
Jamie, you're the
many
best.
great cable or no, like you had. Anyway, there were newscasters from Canada that were like on your nightly news for years in the States, right? So
Yes,
that's what we sound like.
there you go. Jamie, you're the best. Thank you so much for
Goodbye,
being on.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Good night.
Bye.
Very good. Oh man. You know, I said to myself at the beginning, oh, there's only 2 games I'm really geeked about, right? Like these two. Yeah, no, screw that.
Well,
There's
3
like
of them are
8.
one game, kind of, if you pretend.
Like
right?
the Fast Forward series, you mean?
Yeah, they're technically, they all say fast forward on them. They're just expansions to, yeah.
But each
It's
game
spiritual.
each game
They're
is
all different.
completely unique, right? Like
They're all completely different.
yeah, see, that's the thing. That's the thing. And the conceit behind the Fast Forward games is also that you don't have to read the rule book, right? That
There is no
literally-
rule book.
Yeah, the game teaches you how to play while you're playing.
Yeah.
So it is the tutorial.
Basically, you have a deck of 90 cards, and for Fortress, I'm not spoiling anything, that the first card you draw is the first rule card. It says, hey, flip this card over and read it immediately. And then the next card tells you the basic rules of how you're going to be playing it. Fortress is basically, a game where you have some cards in your hand, and you're trying to capture fortresses of other people.
Okay.
But the first 2 or 3 cards come out, and they're just the rules. And then you get your first fortress out into the game. You start getting the cards that help you get that. And then after you finish what will be the timer, the next card after that, it says, okay, now read this card immediately. So the rules come up as cards, and the rules pop out onto the table, and you're basically building your rule book on the table as you play it.
So like every legacy game, basically, but without the actual legacy permanent changes thing. Okay.
And I think that the quick play time of this thing is going to have people absolutely hooked, because the very first, the first two games of Fortress will take you maybe 10 minutes apiece, if that. Maybe 5 minutes for the first one, 10 minutes for the second one, and then some other cool stuff starts to come out, and you're just like, oh, okay, so that one's going to take me 20 minutes to play, and then it ramps up nicely.
And as long as those 10-minute games are still interesting and worth playing, I think that'll be amazing. The problem is, like I was saying with Fabled Brute, when those first couple games didn't feel interesting enough for me to be like, ooh, I really want to explore this system. Yeah. That's the thing that I'm hoping this solves.
I think the first 1 or 2 games are short enough that you won't get bored of it before it gets exciting.
And maybe that's it. Maybe Fabled Brute just takes a little bit too long for what it does.
Yeah, because you're still going out there and you're getting 5 different juices in the beginning of Fabled Fruit. If the first game was be the first person to make a juice, like that could be the kind of thing that this first game of Fortress is like, for example.
Gotcha.
It's really cool.
Man,
we'll be talking about them in depth in the near future.
Near future, like the next episode or the episode after?
The 2 episodes.
2 episodes.
Not this one, but the one after. So the second one in October.
Okay. Gotcha. And that reminds me, you can find all of these content at punchboardmedia.com, where we all bring something to the table. See, I told you I was going to fit it in the middle.
You did it. Now, hang on. Does that mean that this is the middle after an hour 15?
No, I don't know. Here's what it means. It means that I'm trying to drag things out because we have a couple people that made it clear that they could not necessarily get here until much later. Yeah. And I'm sort of hoping that we keep going long enough, but I don't really know if that's going to be the case because frickin' Brandon. I blame Brandon from What Did You Play?
Well, Eric Buscemi was here earlier, but he's left. So can I talk about Seventh Continent?
Yes, please. I'm gonna write a thing for What Did You Play this week about it soon. I've been playing the hell out of it.
This face of aghast amazement is how I feel after playing Seventh Continent. I can't think of any other game right now that I want to play more than Seventh Continent. It's a game unlike anything else I've ever played on the tabletop space. But it is a game that is more like stuff that I play on a video game that is rocks my world than anything else.
That's fair. Brian, have you played it yet?
If not.
Okay. So really fast for people that have not played and maybe haven't seen the stuff, what it basically is a visual version of a choose your own adventure, for lack of a better term. So it's all cards, but the cards make up the map and are action cards that you'll use to do things. or I'm sorry, skill cards that you used to do. No, they're called action cards. I got it right. But that deck of action cards is also your life force. So if you run out of cards, if you exhaust the entire deck, and you'll get a second trip through, but the first time you hit a curse card, you lose. So they're randomly shuffled in. So you get 1 plus a bit through a deck to complete a run, right? Theoretically.
When you are in your discard pile, you shuffle the entire deck every time before you draw.
Really?
Yeah. So the cards are in there, but you're not just drawing off the deck. It tells you to shuffle before every time you draw.
Huh. I got that rule wrong then. Interesting.
Yeah, I read that one a few times, and I'm hoping that I'm not wrong because that's how we've been playing. Maybe somebody in chat will tell me that I'm wrong, but I'm going to pretend.
Yeah, now I'm super curious. Because that's all right. Now I'm gonna.
Oh, that'll be a game changer, because if you get to you get to your discard pile and you draw that curse immediately, it's just like, well, crud, I just wasted these 6 hours.
Yeah, and that's definitely how we felt. I mean, well, we didn't feel like it was a waste because that 6 hours is spent doing some really interesting and fun stuff, I thought. But that's a thing that so now I'm going to look in the easy to forget rules and thing.
So while you're doing that, I want to talk about the thing that is continually rocking my mind about Seventh Continent. So
please. In
the game of the Seventh Continent, you are exploring this continent. Once you do finally get to the main meat of the continent, the thing that I think is so amazing, they had to have meticulously planned out the layout of all of these cards, because you probably know after playing like a 3 or 4 hour session, you've covered most of your table and you have maybe a quarter of the actual continent laid out. I can't believe that all of the terrain plus all of the events that attaches to the terrain. I mean, I want to see an uncut sheet of this thing, or just I want to lay out all the cards to figure out where they would all go. I think that is just such an amazing piece of engineering in terms of game design, that they found a way to make everything fit and it still feel like we've got the complete continent there.
Yeah, I agree with you that just the amount of planning that must have gone into making those cards is bananas.
I mean, that's why it was a year late from the Kickstarter. And after playing it, I'm totally fine with it. I'm so glad that they took the extra time to develop this thing as far as they had to.
Yeah, I was grumpy about the Kickstarter right up until I started playing it. Like I really was. Because I was a backer that was like, come on, guys, really? But also,
now you know why.
I have another Kickstarter to be grumpy about right now, so that's helping a little bit. And B, you know what I mean? Like, it takes the sting out of this one. And B, it is really good. Now, I have had people that have said that they think that mechanically it isn't a very interesting game system. Like, the actual game of what you're doing isn't as
like the physical drawing a card thing, which is the only real mechanic in the game, is you flip cards off a deck.
Right. And I've heard people say that they felt like that wasn't a particularly interesting mechanism.
Yeah, all I do when I play Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is I hit some buttons on a square.
Yeah, okay, that's I mean, but that's different, right?
But I mean, is it really different? Because the amount of things that they do with the cards, with the action deck, with the items, with the terrain, with the events, there's so many things that come out of the one mechanic of I flip over some cards. I mean, like, I really feel like Seventh Continent owes more to those open world long form video games than it does to most campaign board games, in that you save it and you go away for a while, you come back and you just get lost in it for another 3 hours.
That's fair. That's fair.
There's nothing else like it, because every other big board game that is a campaign game, you have these 2 hour chunks. This is the game. You are playing a game of it. And I feel like, Seventh Continent is a giant campaign with 3 DLC packs.
Yeah, I could see that. I see where you're heading with this. Yeah. I don't know. Just so we're clear, I was devil's advocating there because I adore the game. Although I have yet to play, like, I play the game. I am blessed by having a game day every week, not just a game night, where I have one day a week where it gets to be the whole day and night. So when I played, we haven't had to save the game and then get back lost in it for another 3 hours. We have been sitting for 6 hours lost and having a great time. Right. So, like, that feels like just the way that my experience of the game is somewhat different because of the nature of my schedule and whatnot. But yeah, I agree with you. It's really good. And the question, oh, I'm sorry, that was about Fast Forward. Never mind. Forget it. I thought it was about Seventh Continent. Go ahead.
The BGG has 5 to 1,000 minutes.
Well, because they say, yeah, they said in the Kickstarter that there was 1,000 minutes of content in the box, and so somebody just copy paste that. But yeah, you could play. I mean, I wouldn't, but
you could play the entire Voracious Goddess straight through if you were a crazy person.
Well, Voracious Goddess is just the first one, and you could absolutely. I have played that straight through.
How long did that take you?
I mean, we didn't finish it. We didn't beat it. But we played for 7
you could
hours.
play it through to completion.
Well, we played for 7 hours and then realized when we got to the end point that we had missed an entire part of it. So there's that. And I don't want to say anything more than that because there were spoilers, but I'm sure you can figure out exactly what it is that we missed. So there's that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's really good. The Kickstarter is currently going for the second printing of it with the expansion. So you can get just the base game, or I think you're a crazy person if you back this game and don't back for the expansion as well in this Kickstarter, right? Like, I mean, there's no, because even if you don't like the game, you're not going to have any problem flipping this for money because this game is never going to retail. Like they have said they're never going to put this in a retail space. So this Kickstarter is the only way this happens. So.
Okay, so rules clarification. Here is the section. As long as there are no cards left in the action deck, during the cost step of an action, the active player shuffles the face-down discard pile and then randomly draws action cards from it. The next one here says, during the discard step of an action, the active player shuffles the action cards back into the face-down discard pile. So it says at the beginning of every time you're about to draw, you shuffle that pile, and anything you discard goes back into that pile.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Wow. Okay. That definitely is more forgiving than I originally heard too, or originally thought. That's a lot more forgiving. Nice.
Yeah. It's kind of buried in there on page like 17.
Yeah. Well,
But I mean, it gives you that tension of, okay, well, my deck is gone. I'm only in the discard pile. But I think I have enough time to get back to this hunting spot, for example.
Okay. That's interesting.
And then you start looking at, because you're allowed to look at your discard pile anytime. So when you get down to just a few cards left in your action deck, you can look at your discard pile and say, oh, I mean, all 5 of the curse cards are in here. We're going to be okay. Probably.
Gotcha. That's really clever. All right. Well, that's good. Now I have more to think about. I like that. That's very good. Yeah, it's really good. Brian, you need to play it, Brian.
I know. I'm looking at the Kickstarter right now, and I'm like,
so good.
I don't know if I can, if I could justify that.
Brian, because what he's talking about, ladies and gentlemen, I believe it's $129 to get the and that does feel like a lot, but I really would have a hard time believing that this will not keep its value just because of the fact that it'll be a really hard to get after it's done. Like, I don't think even worst case scenario, you're going to be able to get your money back out of this in 3 or 4 months. But I definitely know how that is, right? Like, I have had to unback things when money gets tight every once in a while. And you're like, well, I really want this, but I also want to be able to eat next week, and those moments happen. So I definitely got you. It is really good though. It's really God. And now I'm pissed at myself for playing it wrong. Like, I missed this combo of this rules thing. I get something wrong every time I teach a game, I feel like. I actually just went on a rant about this last week because I taught Zhang Guo from What's Your Game last week. And I was basically teaching out of the book because I'd played it once like a year and a half ago and was refreshing myself. I hadn't had time to, and didn't know we were going to play it till like an hour before everybody got there and whatever. And so I started teaching out of the book and I missed a rule that kind of skewed the whole game experience. I was so pissed at myself. It happens. Yeah. Dumb. All right. I agree. We stalled. We did really good. We held out for an hour and a half, and I had a blast with you guys, but I don't think that I don't know. I think we're good. You guys feel like we're good? We're good.
I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Danielle has arrived back home. Danielle, would you like to be here to close out the end of the? Oh no, she has to deal with the cat.
Queen of the spreadsheets. Hello. All right.
Bill says hello, and he's very proud of you doing all the spreadsheet work.
Yes.
I'm gonna do it in a bit.
Yeah, she's got to go do the midweek update right now.
Update right now. There you go. Very good.
But first, she's going to hug this cat for a while.
Outstanding choice. All right, round the table. Let's talk about the stuff that we do so that way people can find us besides at punchboardmedia.com where we're all bringing stuff on the table. See, there was the third one. There you go. All right, Brian, if people want to find out more about you and what you do, where would they look?
You can go to youtube.com/cloakofmeeple and then @cloakofmeeple on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Nice.
Look at you. How about you, Jake?
My name is Jake. I am half of the podcast Draft Mechanic. You can find us at draftmechanic.net, and Draft Mechanic is the podcast about board games and craft beer and anything we can do to tie the two together.
And you should go to draftmechanic.net/FBGL and vote in the Fantasy Board Game League.
For that is, I heard you guys talking about it. For some reason, the FBGL must be lowercase. I don't understand why that is, and I can't make it not happen.
Isn't that weird?
I blame Squarespace, but FBGL, yeah, draftmechanic.net/FBGL. We got the Fantasy Board Game League. We're in week 4 right now. I think we'll have 9 regular weeks, a playoff, and then a championship week. But we will have a drawing at the end of everybody who voted, and whoever wins will be getting a $100 gift certificate to an online game store of their choice. What's that? Except for Brandon. Brandon doesn't. Yes, Brandon and those related to Brandon are exempt from potentially winning.
All right, just so we're clear, Brandon and I might look alike, but we are not related. In the world, we are not relations.
Yes.
Perfect. And as far as I go, you can watch the Cubist live stream just like this every Monday night at 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern for you, you weird East Coast folks. We do a live stream very similar to what you just watched tonight over on our show every week. Next week, we have Clay Ross from Capstone Games on to talk about heavy games. And we also, oh my God, and I get this wrong. I'm blanking. I'm blanking on the second guest. I'm sorry, second guest. Please, hopefully you aren't watching this and I don't remember who you are. It's terrible. No, my stupid old person.
I'm sure nobody's going to bring that up next week.
That'll definitely happen. Crap. Like I said, I'm the guy that says stupid crap on the internet. You can find my show at thecubistpodcast.com. You can go to youtube.com/cubistpodcast and on Twitter at cubistpodcast. And I personally am at Bill Corey Jr. on there. So this has been tons of fun. We're going to do this again real soon. I think we're going to try and do a second one of these maybe in the month of October on a different time schedule so we can involve some of the folks from across the pond, because we have some PunchBoard Media has content creators from all over the world, literally. So
they're everywhere.
Yeah, we're everywhere. So I know that we'll be doing another one of these in a couple of weeks. If you have not already and you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below you so that way you get notified on all these things. Right down below this video, there's a subscribe button. And thumbs ups are always welcome as well.
And don't forget to click the bell.
Yeah, hit the bell.
Oh, see, I don't tell people to hit the bell because the bell's obnoxious, right?
Hit the bell.
Hey, the bell's the only way that they're going to be guaranteed to know about every piece of content you put out. And with the PunchBoard Social coming up twice monthly, you're gonna need that. You ring that bell and just ding, 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 ding.
All right, hit the bell. That's fine. That don't come crying to us when it notifies you in the middle of a meeting because we decided to do a live stream at 2 p.m. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, if you are in your meeting and you didn't turn off your notifications, that means you probably really want to dip out and come check out PunchBoard Social. You don't want to be in that
meeting anymore. Yeah, that's fair. That's probably true. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Chat room, you guys are awesome. Thank you very much. I hope everybody had a great time. For those of you watching on the flip side, we will catch you all again very soon. Be good.
Good night, everybody.